Hey, how's it going? Xana here. So let's answer these questions. It is about 12:25 Christmas evening. I've just gotten back from celebrating Christmas with my family. Had a good time, had some good conversation, had some drinks, and watched a couple of episodes of True Detective. Really good show on HBO. If you haven't seen it, you should. I think it's been out. I think the first season has been completed for a while, but I'm watching it for the first time, so really enjoying the hell out of it so far. So yeah, this Q&A is going to be pretty disorganized. I basically just took a bunch of questions from the comments at random, just I guess questions that looked interesting to me, and copied and pasted them into a Word document and put them in no order in particular. So I'm just going to go down the list and just kind of respond to them off the cuff. So not very organized. I apologize if I stumble a little bit. I have been drinking this evening, as I did previously mention. Although that was many hours ago, so I have sobered up significantly since then, but I don't know if I'm 100% sober, so I am having myself a nice little, to get me through this, to keep me awake, I brought myself a nice, a Mexican Coke, which is similar to regular Coke, but it's a lot sweeter, because they put, like, actual cane sugar in here, which is really nice. Again, it's a lot tastier. I usually don't like Coca-Cola, but this stuff is good. Problem is, it's like imported, so it's like $1.99 a bottle, so it's a lot of money for a bottle of soda, but it's the holidays, so might as well indulge in things I enjoy. It's fucking great. So, yeah, let's do this. Let's start with the first question. Yeah, again, I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. Like, I just picked these at random, so I'm sorry if I left you out, but I picked as many of them as I felt I could have a somewhat interesting answer for. So let's do this. Question 1. What games are you most looking forward to in 2015? The only 2 games that I'm actually excited about is Witcher 3 and Batman Arkham Knight. That's about it. I can't think of really anything else off the top of my... Oh wait, they're making I think they're making Hotline Miami 2 also. I don't know if that's coming out in 2015, but if it is, I guess I'm looking forward to that too. So yeah, those 3. That's all that comes to mind. Witcher 2 is like one of my favorite RPGs that I played in the past year. I'm aware it was that much longer, but I haven't owned a decent gaming PC for quite a while, so I wasn't really able to play Witcher. Sorry, I apologize if I interrupt myself to sip. But yeah, really looking forward to playing the sequel to that. And I'm really excited. You know, even though I enjoy the Joker very much, it'd be interesting to see them focus on Scarecrow for a change. Kind of switch over to him. Let's see. I guess that's all I have to say. I can't think of too much else to add to that. So let's move on to question number 2. Are you planning on doing any more of those brick wall shorts? Those were fucking hilarious. I'm glad you think they're hilarious. Thank you. I hope they were. Sure. Yeah, sure. The answer is yes. I'd be happy to. I'm probably gonna focus more on my Douchebag Link series than that. But I mean, if I have an idea, then sure, I'll make one. I'm not ruling it out. No reason to say no. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm leaving all the doors open. So, yep, if I think of something, sure. If not, then no, who knows. We'll see what the future holds. Question number 3. I think the question was asked to me by, like, someone named Jory, and I don't know this guy personally, but I know he talks with the BigT sometimes, but, so this guy asked me, how are you and BigT doing? Do you plan on making any new crossovers or collaborating in any way? I'd love to see Assassin Link and your Link meet up. Yeah, man, I don't know. I haven't talked to T in a while. It's been months, actually. I actually don't remember how long ago it was I talked to him. We just haven't been in touch. I should probably see what he's up to. I guess I haven't contacted him because it just seems like he's been really busy recently, and I guess I just haven't thought to... I should probably see what he's up to. I gotta feel bad about not talking to him for a while, I guess. But yeah, I mean, last time I think he posted a video a few days ago where he basically said he's going on hiatus for a bit, so... So yeah, we haven't really talked. Hopefully I get to talk to him soon. I should probably just message him out of the blue and just see how he's doing. Question number 4, and a lot of people asked me this question. Multiple people asked this, so I just generally they asked, how's your life going? And I think I understand why people ask me this question, because I posted my video where I asked people to post their questions. I was very self-aware that I was basically doing this to give myself a temporary boost in self-esteem. Yeah, I'm sorry if I made myself seem like I was depressed or something. I'm not doing that. I'm actually in a pretty good place right now. But yeah, how's my life going? Yeah, occasionally I slip into like the occasional monotony, of life. Like, I get into a routine and things get really dull, and maybe I get into a sort of I don't want to say depressed, because I feel like that's an insult to people with actual depression. But I mean, yeah, sometimes the monotony gets to me. But I mean, as far as my life in general, things are going well. I'm actually gonna be I actually know what I'm gonna be doing with my life after I get my bachelor's degree, which I didn't know until recently. I'm actually going to be, so I actually do have direction right now. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing with my future, like with my entire life, like what my career is going to be. But I know where I'm going next. I know where the next, I'm like ready. I know where like the next, like this chapter of my life is going to end and the next one is going to start. I'm basically going to be moving to North Carolina, a place in North Carolina called Asheville. And my parents are going to be moving there in a matter of, I think, in like a month, basically. And once I finish up schooling in Florida, once I get my bachelor's degree here, I'm going to, about a year and a half from now, I'm going to move over to where they live. And I think that would be a good, and the plan is that because I'm going to move there. Firstly, because I need to get out of Tallahassee, Florida, because I kind of live in a conservative Bible Belt area, and being a liberal atheist, I feel like so immersed in a culture that I feel so detached from the culture that I'm a part of that I kind of need to get to somewhere. And Asheville has a reputation of being a very progressive town. North Carolina doesn't have like the reputation of being a progressive state, but Asheville in particular does, and it sounds like an interesting place. A lot of culture there, a lot of different types of people. And it's not like I want to be in an environment where like there's a bunch of people who it's not like I want to live in an echo chamber of people who agree with me, but like the type of environment that people have described, like my parents have been to Asheville a few times when they were deciding to move there, and their impression of the place was like, there's a lot of different types of people there, but it's also an environment where it's a very tolerant environment. So I could come there with a totally different, if I met somebody there who had a totally different worldview than me, instead of like treating me with hostility, like immediately like having a hostile attitude, we'd be able to have like a discussion, And that obviously there's going to be people who are hostile towards, obviously you're going to have closed-minded people no matter where you go, but there's a greater likelihood that I won't run into that, So that's my plan so far. Also, the unemployment rate in Asheville is like 4.1%, which is amongst the lowest in the country. So my plan is, after I gotta stay here though. I gotta finish school here because I have 2 scholarships, and both of them I have to basically go to school. I basically have to go to school in Florida in order for them to apply. But after I get my bachelor's degree, they both expire. So then I can go wherever the fuck I want to get my master's. So yeah, I'm staying. So I'm finishing up at FSU, and then after that, I'm moving on to I'll move to Asheville. Since my parents will be living in Asheville, I'll stay with them while I'm and then I'll look for a job, and then once I make enough money to be self-sufficient, then I'll try to find my own apartment. So yep, that's the plan, and it's a good place to be. At least I have some direction. So there's like an end in sight. I have a goal that I'm working towards, which is at this point just to get my bachelor's degree and get to Asheville. So yep, that's where I am. There's some monotony. I am fucking sick and tired of living in Tallahassee, Florida, but I am working towards something. I am working towards getting out of there. So yeah, there's some monotony. It gets to me sometimes, but it's not it's not like I feel totally helpless, you know? I feel like my life isn't going anywhere, so yep, I'm in a good place. So sorry if my questions video gave off the impression that I was like depressed or something. I'm actually doing pretty well, all things considered. Question number 5. Merry Christmas, Xana. Just 2 questions. First, how did you... Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. The fucking Coke. Some good shit, man. Oh, by the way, I got this stylus in my hand. Sorry. I like to hold my stylus like a cigarette. I have no idea why, but something about holding it this way is like... I have no idea. It's like a hand pacifier. You know, it's like... it just feels comfortable to hold it like this. Anyway, sorry, back to the question. Merry Christmas, Xana. Just 2 questions. First, how did you tell your parents you were an atheist? And what's the best way to tell my parents I'm an atheist, in your opinion? I'm not the best person to be... I'll start with the first question, and then I'll go into your second one. I'm probably not the best person to ask about this, because, for me, how did I tell my parents I was an atheist? I basically just told them I was an atheist. And both of my parents are pretty open-minded people. But my mom isn't... Well, let me put it this way. My mom is not really a religious person to begin with. Although she was baptized Greek Orthodox, she rarely ever goes to church. And when she did, she only went to church on, like, certain holidays. And basically, she only went to church on, like, during certain holidays like Easter or Christmas, and or she went to church because my dad was like doing a reading there or something, and she wanted to support him, but that's pretty much it. She and you know, whenever my father and I are getting into a theological debate, my mom usually takes my side more often than not. So yeah, so she's not really religious to begin with, and my father is although he identifies as Catholic, but based on my many conversations I've had with the guy, he's, I would say he's more of a deist who just happens to like Jesus a lot. You know? And the reason I think this is because we've had many conversations about religion, and from what I've gotten from him is, he doesn't believe that there is an afterlife, like a heaven or a hell. He doesn't believe in any of the supernatural elements of the religion, including the resurrection of Jesus Christ and his ascension into heaven, which I feel is a pretty big part of being a Christian. And thirdly, he doesn't believe that human beings are more significant than any other creature on this planet, which I feel is a big part of the that is such a big part of what the Judeo-Christian God is. I mean, we're supposed to be made in the image of the Creator, right? Like, that's the idea. And, you know, like, Jesus didn't die for the sins of sheep and turtles, you know? He died for the sins of mankind. You know, we're supposed to be, like, special. That's the idea. He doesn't believe in that either. So you know, it's weird. That's why I say he identifies as Catholic, but I think that it's more of a social identification than anything else. I don't think he really fits the criteria of a Catholic. So like I said, he likes Jesus, but I would say he's more of a deist than a Christian, because his definition of God it diverges so significantly from what the Judeo-Christian God is, what the Bible claims the Judeo-Christian God is supposed to be. So yeah, my parents are both, you know, it wasn't really difficult. It wasn't like coming out, you know, it didn't feel like that, because it was just like, I just kind of realized I was an atheist. I told them, and since then we've had many valuable discussions about it. My father and I talk, my mom, like my whole family, we like to have discussions about things, you know. When we have dinner, we like to talk about politics, religion, all kinds of stuff like that. Because I mean, those are subjects of substance. So, yeah, you know, and although sometimes we've gotten heated in our discussions about religion, like sometimes we've gotten like, you know, really passionate about our ideas, we never like yelled at each other. You know, it was never anger. It was just, you know, sometimes my voice might get like excited, or he might get excited and get a little loud, but it was never like, the tone of the conversations was always extremely civil. It was always very respectful. And we both like really, I would say we both learned a lot about each other and gained a lot of insight through those discussions. So those are my parents. Those aren't people that are very difficult to open up to. So like I said, I'm not the best to ask about this. The best advice I could offer you it's not original advice, but it's pretty much what, you know, a lot of other YouTube atheists, I suppose, would say, which is, you know, you have to be the one to decide. You know, if you're in a position where you're financially dependent on your parents, if you don't think this is something they'd be upset about, you know, it's just pretty much up to your parents. Are going to be different than my parents, so you just have to use your best judgment. Is this something you think they would disown you over, or are they the kind of people who would like kick you out of the house for being an atheist, or would they not care too much? You know, you sort of have to be the judge of that. If you don't think they're those kinds of people, then sure, bring it up, and maybe it could lead to a lot of interesting discussions. But if you think like that, if it's possible that they might want to fucking disown you or some shit, and you're not in a position to support yourself financially, I would say probably keep it to yourself. You know, I wish I didn't have to tell anybody that, but that's the harsh reality of the situation. So if you live in a strict religious fundamentalist household, I would just say, all I can say is use your best judgment. It wasn't hard for me to talk about that, so, but I understand that my parents aren't like it. My relationship with my parents is not the same relationship everybody else has with theirs. Not everybody likes to discuss religion openly. That's one of those like taboo subjects for a lot of people, so I guess use your best judgment. And then, sorry, you asked me another question. Also, just curious about this, but you, being an atheist, do you still celebrate Christian holidays such as Christmas? Not the prayer part, but do you celebrate the gift giving and dinner? Well, I would say, I mean, if Christians are going to hijack pagan holidays and make it about Jesus, I don't see why you can't do the same. You know, you can make Christmas about whatever the fuck you want to. That's fine. That's what I do. You know, if you want to make Christmas about celebrating the birthday of Jesus, go fucking nuts. If you want to celebrate the birth of Mithra, you can celebrate that too. Or if you want to worship the god Saturn, go nuts. You know, the reason for or if you want to ignore religion entirely and just, to you, Christmas is simply a day to spend time with the people you love and care about, then sure, you can do that too. That's basically what I do. I mean, at the end of the day, Christmas, the origins of the holiday are pretty much irrelevant. The only thing to me, at least, that matters with any holiday is that we human beings like to have, we like to arbitrarily take certain days of the year and just decide that they're more important than other days of the year. Why? Because sometimes our lives can get a little monotonous and boring, and we like to add a little excitement to them. You know, we like to plan little events like that just to give us something to look forward to. So I mean, yeah, for me it's just, yeah, I like to hang out with my family and, you know, get them some gifts and they get me some gifts, and we have a nice dinner and we talk and, you know, watch a movie or some TV or something. It's a good time, you know. So yeah, I mean, yes, I do celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate the Jesus element, but, you know, like, the holidays can be about whatever the fuck you want it to be about, so. So, my answer to that would be yes. Question number 6. Who is your biggest idol, if you have one? I would say right now, like, I think the person who has the biggest influence on me is Louis C.K. I mean, I guess if we're talking about people who inspire me, like, comedically. But, I mean, pretty much, like, everything about Louis C.K. from his, you know, from just the, you know, the types of jokes he tells to just the, to just the way he even talks, I think influences me to some extent. You know, I really like him because he you know, like George Carlin, he talks about real shit, but where he deviates from George Carlin is that he kind of tells it just sort of like a regular guy. Like with George Carlin, you know, when Carlin told a fucking joke, you know, like, Carlin was not, you know, he wasn't your everyday fuck. Carlin was, like, above you. You know, this was a man, when you saw Carlin on stage, clearly that was a dude who, like, had carefully crafted his material and knew just the precise wording to describe the ideas that he was trying to get across. You know, he was very, very articulate, very skilled, a very good writer. But he wasn't like a regular dude. Louis C.K. can talk about some heavy shit. He can talk about some real comedy with actual substance behind it. But he kind of does it like just sort of a regular fuck, you know? He just kind of talks like just a regular dude. You know, he stumbles over his words and stuff, and but he does it like, you know, he does like the kind of stuff Carlin does, but he does it clumsily. But he makes it work because the words he does choose are still fucking funny. But yeah, I would say, you know, he's probably influenced my sense of humor as of late more than anybody else. And I follow, there's other comedians I like too. I mean, my other two favorites would be Dave Chappelle and Bo Burnham, but I wouldn't say those two influence, like, excuse me, fucking this Coke is so good. But, I like those guys, but they don't influence me, comedically, like, they don't influence my style, I just sort of like their comedy. Louis C.K. though, yeah, I think he's, like, my biggest, if I was to say that I had an idol right now, I mean, I guess idol's too strong of a word, maybe a little too strong of a word to say, but, like, you know, if there's somebody who I'm, like, more inspired by, who's, like, I'm most inspired by at the moment, it's probably Louis C.K. I think in the past it was Ego Raptor, like, when I was younger, because Ego Raptor, like, got me into voice acting, but yeah, right now that's Louis C.K. One of my favorite comedians right now. Alright, question number 7, and I got a lot of questions about this, but not very surprisingly, I got a lot of questions like this because I did bring up that I was playing a shit ton of Metal Gear Rising, but yeah, a lot of people asked me what my opinion on Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was, and I think somebody also asked me what my least and most favorite boss fights in the game were, so I'll try to answer all those. My opinion, I want to clarify, I've never played a Metal Gear game before this, so I had no idea what Hideo Kojima's characters and writing were like. And after having some experience with it, I would say, I think Hideo Kojima is, I think at least, you know, I'm only basing this on this game, so I can't speak for all the Metal Gear games, but to me, this game was really fucking, it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, I think is the best parallel, because it's really fucking stupid, but also kind of awesome at the same time. You know, like, it's really fucking dumb, but it's also, there's some really badass moments. You know, I had a lot of fun with it. It was I would say the game gets a little bit repetitive after a while, and some of those fucking VR missions are goddamn ridiculous. I've been stuck on one fucking, like, I have raged so hard at that fucking game. But I have had a lot of fun with it. I've been playing it a fuck ton. But it is pretty cool. It just feels pretty awesome to play for the most part. Although the game doesn't do a very good job of teaching you certain mechanics. Like, they don't do a good job of teaching you the parry attack. The tutorial's kind of lacking. You know, they don't really explain how to do the attack very well, and the tutorial really, like the tutorial, well, I guess if you've already played the game, I guess people who ask me this have already played the game, but you know, like in the tutorial, I guess I don't need to explain this, but I will anyways, but, like, I'm fucking rambling so much. This is what happens when I'm fucking tired. You know, it just, like, spawns an enemy, but in the tutorial, it just, like, spawns an enemy in front of you, says, here's the buttons you press to do the parry attack, now use it to defeat this enemy. And if you end up defeating the enemy, regardless of whether or not you successfully pulled off the attack, it just, the tutorial just ends. It ends when the enemy dies, not when you successfully pull off the attack. So the first time I ended up, like, accidentally parrying, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck, wait, what did I do? Hold on, and then the tutorial was over because I ended up killing the guy, so I had to, like, start it over again. I mean, eventually I got the move, but, so yeah, the game doesn't explain its mechanics very well, but, you know, once you figure it out, it's a lot of fun. I just wish the writing wasn't, I just wish the writing wasn't fucking, You gotta love some of the pseudo philosophy in that game. I do find it kind of funny, like, when at the beginning, you know, Raiden's talking about his view on the world, and then you have the fucking Prime Minister being like, ah, a warrior and a philosopher, and I'm just thinking, like, hardly, but. And then, you know, and then when you have lines so fucking cheesy, like, you know, all we are saying is give war a chance, like, for fuck's sake. Although I will say this, one of my favorite fucking lines, and like, I actually laughed out loud when the bad guy at the end of the game, when Raiden's like, What are you? What have you done to yourself? And he's got like superpowers, and then he's like, nanomachines, son! Ha ha! I was fucking, I laughed at that, that was funny. Nanomachines, son. It's very cheesy, but it's very cheesy. Some of the dialogue is terrible, but it is also kind of cool at the same time. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, jumping in front of a, jumping in the air, kicking a back kicking a robot in the face, jumping in the air, and then slicing it into like 100 pieces, ripping out its spine, and then crushing it in your hand. That's pretty fucking. That's pretty fucking cool, you know. So I wouldn't say I wasn't sucked in. But yeah, I don't know, it was fun, cheesy. And I guess about what was my favorite and least favorite boss fight in the whole game? Jeez. I don't know. If I was going by what boss was the most entertaining, like personality-wise, it was definitely the guy at the end. I didn't like fighting him. His battle was really fucking annoying. But like if I had to pick like a boss who like a character who entertained me the most, it was probably the fucking boss at the end, like the guy at the end of the game. That dude was so like hilarious, like so friggin' cartoonishly evil, you know? Like that guy was so fucking ridiculously excuse me. I mean, he has a fucking cigar in his mouth, like, ah ha ha! He talks like this! When he's in the fucking, like, when he's in the fucking garden with all the cherry blossoms, and he's like, this place is disgusting. It sickens me. I'm like, what the like, what is this? I mean, I can imagine someone walking into this fucker's office, and he's drowning a fucking... It's like, oh, excuse me, well, I'm hold on, I'll be with you in a second. I need to drown this orphan child with Down syndrome. And then this entire bag of puppies. Like, what? This guy is so fucking evil, it's hilarious. But there is something enjoyable about an incredibly campy, over-the-top villain, you know? I guess I would call that the Tim Curry effect. Although I suppose Tim Curry is more flamboyant, but he is over the top. Yeah. This guy wasn't flamboyant, but he was funny. If I was talking about... So I guess that was the funniest boss in the game. If I was talking about bosses that I enjoyed fighting the most, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess the guy with the... in terms of, like, game mechanics alone, I kind of enjoyed fighting the... what was that guy in the middle who had, like, the... What was that tiny sword? Like, after you defeat him, you get, like, a sword. You can use it to throw it at people, and then you can, like, pull yourself towards them. The guy who used that weapon. I don't know. I like his battle the most. I can't really... I don't know. There was a lot more to it. There was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, he throws a giant fucking, you know... he's throwing fucking cars and stuff at you with psychic powers. He, you know... takes a bunch of trash, rolls it up into a ball, and tries to demolish you with it. He, you know, everything turns into mist, and then he like comes at you from the mist, and you have to block him from all these different sides and shit. I mean, I don't know. He was just interesting in terms of a lot of the stuff he threw at you. And plus, the weapon you get for defeating him is probably my favorite weapon in the game, since it's so like you can just blow through fucking battles with that thing. It makes defeating aerial enemies so much easier, like helicopters and shit. I probably spent too long answering this question, but yeah. So yeah, I guess that's the end. That's the end of that. It's silly. The story was silly as fuck, but it was enjoyable. It was stupid, but it was like enjoyably stupid. Oh, also, what was the guy's name? Jetstream Sam. That guy has the funniest fucking face. I love that dude's attitude, and I love his fucking face, like when he first appears. The guy's like, don't come any closer or we'll shoot! And he's just like, eh. He's got his fucking like, hey, what's up? Kind of look. He's an entertaining fellow. I wish there was more of him in the game. I also like how he bitch slaps some reality into Raiden. Into Raiden's like goody overly simplistic worldview of like, they are all bad. All the people I'm killing are evil. Oh, one more thing about Raiden. I know, like, I can tell, like, whoever was... I don't know who actually wrote... I don't know if Hideo Kojima actually wrote this, but you can fucking tell this guy's trying to make Raiden seem as badass as possible, but, dude, when Raiden fucking tries to... It's so weird. Yeah, most of the time, Raiden just talks like this. You know, nothing too out there for, like, an anime character protagonist. But, like, sometimes when he gets angry, he talks like this. Yes, I'm going to kill you. Like this really weird growly thing, and it's like he's trying so hard to be menacing, but it just comes off as like a door. It's like, what the fuck is that? Is that your fucking, like, that's his angry... This is my angry voice! Like, what the fuck? What are you doing? It's just like, just stop. Just stop. It's just adorable. He's trying so hard to seem menacing. But anyways, sorry, I said I was gonna stop talking about Metal Gear Rising, but I get... That's it, I'm done with the question. But sorry, I had to bring up those last two things. Jetstream Sam is an awesome as fuck, and Raiden trying to be badass is so... I don't know what... when he puts on his serious, angry voice, it's so silly. Next, let's see. Question number 8. Another kind of an interesting question. Do you enjoy your fan base? I would say generally yes. I mean, I don't have a problem with the people who subscribe to my channel or anything. I don't, you know, like when I mean, I guess like the biggest testament to that was like when I said I wasn't doing a Zelda abridged, series anymore, and I kind of posted that, and I was expecting like I would get a whole lot of shit or something. I'd lose like a whole bunch of subscribers and people would just like immediately like, ah, fuck it, I'm out of here. But the vast majority of people are actually pretty supportive. I mean, there were a few people who were like, fuck you, you know, but like those comments were few and far between. And even the people who said they were going to like, that they were gonna unsubscribe were actually pretty cool about it. Like they were pretty much just like, well, I was subscribed to you for the Zelda bridge parodies. So, you know, but they did it, but they were cool about it. But it's like, hey, I understand you want to move on to other stuff. That's all right. You know, thanks for entertaining me, you know, so I don't really have a problem with my audience. The only time I've ever had the only time my audience has ever done anything that pissed me off, though, I would say was, it was on a, I'm trying to think of how to, I was on an Adam West Lapdog video. It was when I was still writing when I was writing the episodes for the Ikana Canyon, episodes 7 and 8. And I wanted to watch Adam West Lapdog's videos that he had done of that particular area just to make sure that I wasn't accidentally, like, you know, ripping him off. You know, I wasn't accidentally copying something he did. And while I was watching the videos, I noticed there were, like, one of the top comments on the video, like, someone basically wrote, like, Adam West Lapdog hasn't posted a video in over a year. Fuck this, like, fuck him. And I'm glad Xana Uzumaki is stealing your viewers. And I'm like... And it really pissed me... And it was, like, really annoying because, like... What annoyed me most about the comment is that it had, like, 14 thumbs up. So, like... You know, my first thought was, like... Who is this asshole? And then my second thought was, why did so many people agree with this asshole, you know? I was just kind of, I was so pissed off by that. I almost made a video where I was gonna like publicly shame whoever did that, but I guess like in the end I decided it wasn't worth it and I just moved on with my life. But yeah, that was the only time like my audience ever did something that like, or some member of my audience ever did something that pissed me off. Like, you know, like if you, I guess you know, if you want to start I don't want to create like a rivalry between myself and like another YouTube audience or some shit. I don't have any desire to do that, and I don't have any animosity towards Adam West Lapdog. So if you're gonna, I mean, don't be a dick on my behalf, please. Like, don't be an asshole to other people in my name. That's really fucking obnoxious, and I don't have any animosity towards really any other YouTube channel that I can think of that say warrants, you know, even if I did have animosity towards another YouTube channel, I just want my audience to ignore it, you know, rather than like go to that YouTube channel and give that person shit. Like, no, don't fucking be, yes, don't be a dick on my behalf, please. That's annoying. But I only saw that once. That was for the most part, yeah, my audience, I haven't had too much of a problem with them. They've been pretty nice, pretty supportive. So yeah, that's the only instance I can think of where they annoyed me. Question number 9. This is another question I got asked a lot. What inspired you to make your Douchebag Link video, and are you continuing the series? The answer is yes. I'm gonna continue making more of these. I do plan to make an episode 2 at some point. I just haven't had any ideas as of yet. I haven't felt very inspired the past few days, so I do have like some ideas for certain scenes, but they haven't yet, formed together into a cohesive narrative that flows and stuff. So I'm still working that one out, but I do plan to continue it. As for what inspired my Douchebag Link video, I mean, I've been thinking through like possible ideas for what I could do to continue making stuff on my channel, and I'd had a bunch of ideas for different shows. I had scripts written for like shows that I haven't even made yet, and they're still sitting around on my computer, but I kind of got to a point, when I started my junior year and I started seeing like, my classes are getting a little bit more difficult because I'm taking higher level courses, and I'm finally, I'm working for a bachelor's degree. That's much more difficult than achieving a fucking AA. So I was, excuse me. So yeah, I mean, I when I realized what my course load was going to be like now, and I kind of realized like, I'm not going to be able to do something as ambitious as I wanted to. Like, I kind of realized like whatever I do in the future, I'm not going to be able to make like a fully animated series because that's not going to happen. And I don't know if I have the time or the patience to like develop an entirely new cast of characters and universe from the ground up. And I wasn't really tired of my characters, and I wasn't tired of doing Zelda parodies. I wasn't tired of my Link character or my Majora character. If anything, I actually had a lot of fun doing Majora played a very small role in my abridged parody of he didn't really have that much of a role until the final episode, and I had a lot of fun writing his dialogue and Link's dialogue. And I wanted to do, like, after I was done with that, I'm like, that was a lot of fun. I liked those two playing off each other. And I want to do more. I want to do more of that, but the abridged series is over now. But I wasn't done with the characters or anything. I was just done. My biggest problem wasn't the writing or the voicing or writing the scripts for these characters. It was the video component I wanted to improve on. I was just sick of like talking over video game footage. I felt like that part of my videos was stagnating, and I wanted to like and this seemed like a good, okay, I've been doing like the Flash animation stuff recently, and I'll take some of the skills I acquired doing that, and I'll do a kind of a slideshow style. Obviously I don't have the time these days to do a fully animated series, but I'll do like a slideshow style sort of thing, because at least with this I can improve visually on what I've been doing, and I can still use the same characters and still have fun with them. So it seemed like I realized I wouldn't be able to do something as ambitious, but this seemed like a pretty good step. I can still improve upon my video making abilities, because at least, now you're not just watching video game footage. Now you can actually see characters expressing emotions and, doing facial expressions, and, just the fact that the characters are emoting is a big thing for me. So yeah, and also secondly, I basically wanted to resurrect the Mask Chronicles in a sense, because that's kind of where I'm going with this. I want to resurrect the Mask Chronicles, but but instead of Link and Tatl being the protagonists, I wanted it to be Link and Majora. So that's kind of the general idea for this, is Mask Chronicles with these two characters. Because I still had so many masks I haven't collected yet, so there's still more to do. And then, let's see, what's the next question? But yeah, I guess I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add to that. Was there anything else I missed? No, I think I covered everything, so if I think of anything later, I'll let you know. But yep. But yeah, I'm gonna continue it. It'll be fun to see where this goes. And instead of doing an abridged series, there's more control over the story too, because I'm not like fucking chained to whatever happens in the video game footage. I can just make my own weird fan fiction up now, so that'll be interesting. So yes, the next question. Are you and Tauberpa ever going to meet up one day? And if so, do you guys plan on going to any cons together and maybe meet some of us? Actually, yes. It wasn't until very recently, but I actually might have the opportunity about a year and a half from now to meet Tauberpa. My father basically said if I get my bachelor's degree, he's willing to actually fly me. The thing is, like, I live in fucking Florida. I'm going to FSU. And, you know, Tauberpa lives in fucking Minnesota. We're on, like, you know, he's in the fucking tip-top north of the country, and I'm all the way way down south, you know? So we're very, very far away from each other, not driving distance. You know, he's right near the Great fucking Lakes, basically. But my father said if I get my bachelor's degree, he's willing to pay to put me on a plane, to send me on a trip to Minnesota for a few days. So yeah, after I graduate from FSU, I might actually get the chance to visit him in person. And that'll be cool, so possibly in the future. As for do we plan to meet at any convention, I think Paul and I have talked about... Paul has talked about going to KenTokyo-Con. I went to KenTokyo-Con recently. It's... For me, it was about a 10-hour drive. For him, it'd probably be a little bit longer. He said he'd consider going to the next one. You know, he said like a year... He considered going to the next year's KenTokyo-Con, but he also said he doesn't like driving, so it's not like that's set in stone. Like, we know we're gonna meet at that convention. It's pretty much just like, I don't know, if I can, I'll try to make it work, but if not, probably not. But yeah, I am gonna meet him in person someday. I think, and if we do meet, I think we might do a gameplay. We'll probably put something on our Tauberpa's channel. If that's still going on, I don't know how long that's gonna continue, but we'll see. The whole Tauberpa's thing is kind of an experiment right now, but if we're still doing the gameplay channel at that point, you know, we might do a let's play or something while I'm there. Question number 11: sci-fi or fantasy? I would say fantasy all the fucking way. No, wait, sorry, fuck that up. Sci-fi, definitely sci-fi. I don't know what it is. Science fiction has always just been more appealing to me. Like, just on a visceral level. Like even when I was a child and I didn't really think through why I liked things very effectively, there was something about science fiction that just appealed to me more. I don't know. I like the idea, the concept of the future just really interested me. Like, what could be? What's down the road? What could the future possibly hold? I'm kind of on kind of a related note. I'm kind of a fan of the Fallout games, not the early ones, but Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And you know, I know Bethesda's involved in both of those, and because of that, they're very mechanically similar to the Elder Scrolls games. But I've never played the Elder Scrolls games, and it's entirely because of the setting, the fact that it's like that. I don't know what it is, like that traditional, you know, Tolkien style, you know, fantasy universe with like hobbits and elves and wizards or like, you know, a D&D style universe, you know, stuff like that. You know, the traditional fantasy setting. I don't know, that's never really appealed to me as much. Also, like, just with sci-fi in general, I feel like there's so much diversity and creativity with that. You know, oftentimes when you see fantasy, there's a lot of similar themes come up. You know, like I said, with the different races, like the elves or the undead or the wizards or the mages, stuff like that. You know, you see a lot of similar groups of people, or you know, you see a lot of similar tropes and stuff. With science fiction, I don't know, I feel like I see a lot of diversity. Sometimes you get like a steampunk kind of universe or a cyberpunk or a dystopian world like Fallout with kind of a retro World War II America aesthetic, or you can get something like Star Trek, which has an emphasis on like political intrigue and social issues and philosophy. Or, you know, you have something like Star Wars, which is just a really exciting, you know, space fantasy, which, you know, takes a lot of tropes from other science fiction and samurai movies. But I don't know, with sci-fi, there just seems so much more room for creativity. I guess, I don't know, something about the future just interests me. Always preferred sci-fi. And that's not to say there probably isn't some fantasy world out there that some author or some game developer or some person has created that didn't interest me. I mean, you know, like I said, one of my favorite games, you know, one of the games I'm really waiting for, you know, one of my most anticipated games is Witcher 3. You know, so obviously I enjoyed Witcher. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy fantasy. I just tend to enjoy science fiction worlds a little bit more than I do fantasy. So it's not always a deal breaker, but something, you know, when it came to like the Elder Scrolls games, in that sense it was. Oh, shit. Well, I spilled my Coke. I'm gonna clean this up. Fucking cleaning up this shit. Well, welcome to Real Human Moments with Xana Uzumaki. In today's episode, watch as Xana spills fucking Coke all over his desk. I hope it didn't get on my fucking... Okay, it avoided the keyboard, so that's good. That's good. Jeez. Okay, so that's cleaned up for the most part. You ever fucking... I don't know if anyone else... Maybe it's just me that has this fucking problem. Actually, let me close the door for a second. I don't know, I just prefer to have it. I don't know why. I probably don't need to close it, but I want to use it as a noise buffer. I don't want to annoy my, I don't want to annoy my neighbors. It's fucking funny. You know, for some reason... I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but for some reason... Sometimes my fucking hand does this thing where, like I have a perfect grip on something, like I'm just holding a glass, or I'm holding a fucking bottle of something, or I'm holding a pen or whatever, and I'm like, and everything's fine, and then for some reason my hand just randomly, like, spasms, and, like, just knocks shit over. Like, just for no reason, my hand's just, like, I got a perfect hold on it, like, I'm just gonna, and all of a sudden my hand's just like, bleh! Down, Coke! I don't know why that fucking happens. That happens to me all the fucking time. But yes, so I hope that was enjoyable to an extent. So let's get back to answering questions. I think I fully answered the sci-fi or fantasy question, so let's move on to question 12, which is kind of relevant to the one before it. Have you played the Fallout series? If so, what are your views on RPGs nowadays? Have I played the Fallout series? Yes, I already mentioned that. So yes, I have played the Fallout games. I really do enjoy them. I like that type of world. I like the Fallout 3 in particular. I really like the music, the swing, the swing music. Billie Holiday. I found out about her music through the game, and I really like her voice. I don't know, something about I really like the instrumentation of the music, like from that era. From, you know, from that, you know, I really like just the setting itself, the sort of dystopian world with the World War II America sort of aesthetic. It's a cool setting. It's a cool world. As for what my views on RPGs nowadays are, I don't know. I don't play RPGs all that much, so I'm probably not the best person to be talking about this. But I guess if I had any criticism, it might be that. I guess sometimes with a lot of mainstream RPGs that have a lot of popular mainstream success, there is a tendency to want to sort of dumb down some of the mechanics in order to make it more accessible to, like, other players. And I understand why they do that. Like, you know, I understand gaming is a business. They want their games to sell well. They want it to appeal to more people. But sometimes that does kind of come at the risk of complexity, you know? So, you know, because, like, you know, sure, there's less of a learning curve to overcome in the beginning, but then in the end, you kind of realize, like, the system doesn't have a lot of depth to it, and then you sort of lose interest. So I guess that would be my biggest criticism, is sometimes, yeah, we do have a tendency to sort of rob an RPG system of depth in order to make it more accessible. And that's not always a bad thing. I mean, you know, sometimes simplicity can be great. You know, sometimes simplicity can be fucking beautiful. But in an RPG, typically, you know, you want to feel like you have a lot, you know, you want to feel like you have a lot of control over, you know, how you craft your character, how you customize your stats or your character's personality. You want to, you know, you want to have a lot of influence over that. You want there to be a very deep and intricate system to work with. So that's about all I suppose I have to say. Question number 13. The person started by saying, "First of all, dude, you're not a worthless sack of shit. You're actually a really funny guy." And thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I'm sorry if I was using a bit of hyperbole. I don't. So just being I'm not really that, like, I don't really think I'm that worthless. I think I mean, sometimes I feel worthless, but I'm not in that at that moment. I was just kind of being a little bit. I was being hyperbolic. So and I'm glad you think I'm funny. I hope someone thinks I'm funny, because I'm really counting on that to be noticed on the internet. So my question to you is, do you still follow the Brony fandom, or are you leaning away from that? Yeah, I guess I am sort of leaning away from the Brony fandom. I don't really keep up with what's going on with the fandom anymore. I guess I don't consider myself part of the fandom, but that doesn't mean I hate the show or something. I mean, I still enjoy it. I mean, when I was at KenTokyo-Con, I got this button, which is a Fluttershy button, and I got it because I thought it was cute. I like the way the artist drew Fluttershy too. It's like different from the show, but it was an interesting style in and of itself, so I picked it up. So yeah, I still like the show. I just don't. I guess I would say I just don't define. I don't know. Like I don't want to. I guess I just kind of. Well, I mean, aside from the fucking pile of shit that the Equestria Girls movie was, aside from that, I don't know, I just feel like I don't want to define myself based on one show that I watch. I think that's mostly the reason. You know, if you want to call me a brony, sure, you can, but, I mean, I wouldn't really call myself that anymore, just because, I don't know, I just feel like it's silly to... There's so many like TV shows and movies and video games that I love, and that there's so many different types of entertainment, and, that I enjoy, not just My Little Pony. So calling myself a brony kind of limits me in a sense. It makes it sound like that's the one thing that I enjoy. No, I enjoy a lot of things. That just happens to be one of the shows that I find to be entertaining in a cute way, not like in an like not in an adult funny way, but in something that's like cute and silly. Sure. Different. Jeez, fucking that Coke, man. That fucking Coke. I'm sorry for being a gross piece of shit. And Belch. Oh man, I'm already at the bottom. That was a good $2. That was a tasty $2. But yeah. But no, I mean, people like different forms of entertainment for different reasons. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to call me a brony, sure. I'd still watch the show. I don't have any shame. I don't feel any shame for watching it either. I just let's see, where's my... Sorry, I'm looking for my pen. It got lost in the spill. in the Coke spill. But yeah, I still watch the show. I don't really have... There's no shame in it either. I'm still like, yeah, I'll still watch it, whatever. It's cute, but yeah, I don't identify as a brony, but whatever. Yeah, guess I'm moving away from it, but I don't hate the show or anything. That said, I do think both Equestria Girls movies were god-awful, so... Generally, I like the cartoon. Both the movies were fucking dreadful, though. Like, absolutely fucking horrendous. Let's see, what's the next question? Okay, question number 14. This person asked me a lot of questions, but I can answer a lot of them really quickly, so I thought I'd do like a rapid fire. And then at the end, there's like one long question. So I guess I'll just do this. Okay, so when's the next Douchebag Link Returns to Termina? Don't know. Do you think Kingdom Under Fire 2 looks any good? Never heard of it. Do you watch Death Battle? Sometimes, but I don't follow it regularly. Do you play Binding of Isaac? Nope. Do you play Dynasty Warriors? Nope. Do you watch Zero Punctuation? Yes, I have watched it for years. What do you think of Call of Duty? Never played it before, but it looks mediocre. Do you watch RWBY? I don't know what those letters mean, so probably no. And now here's a long question. If you had a choice between reading a 1 to 1.5k fanfiction that was basically all fluffy shipping that felt somewhat rushed and could have spent more time being worked on, or a 10k plus, I'm guessing by you mean words, like the amount of words, or a 10k plus fanfiction that was worlds better written than the previous and also much longer but was pretty much all sex, which would you read and why? I mean, definitely, I mean, the longer one, sure. I mean, the fact that it's about sex, I mean, if it's good literature, if it's well written, And if it's good literature, then it's good fucking literature. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's... I mean, if it's... The fact that it's about sex doesn't really have an impact on its quality, so sure. I mean, if it really goes into... If it really delves into the relationship between these people and it's really good stuff, you know... Yeah, I'd fucking read it. Whatever. That's fine. You know, it's better than some short, you know, just, you know, masturbatory, poorly constructed masturbatory fantasy. But, yeah, so I guess the longer one, sure. Number 15. Do you believe yourself to be your biggest critic? I notice you rip on yourself more than most comments do, unless there are a few nasty ones hidden somewhere. And I like this question a lot because I guess you are kind of right though. I am my own biggest critic. I would agree with that. Honestly, yeah. I mean, comment wise, I haven't really gotten. I mean, yeah, I've gotten negative comments before, but I don't get them that often. And when I do, it's never really that bad. I think the meanest comment I ever can remember getting was probably the funniest, and it was just somebody calling me a big fat gay man. That to this day is like the funniest comment I ever got. Like, that makes me laugh my fucking ass off. It's like, you are a big fat gay man. Like, that's so fucking, like, that's just funny though. That just makes me laugh. That made me laugh my ass off when I first read it. I just looked at the screen and like giggled and just like laughed for fucking 3 minutes. Actually, I think there was like a person who was like just leaving like a string of like, I hate your videos. Like, I guess, but it's never been, yeah, I don't, so yeah, I guess that is true. I am my own biggest critic. I guess it's just the way I look at it. You know, when people, I don't base my opinion of my videos, I guess, on my audience's opinion. Whether I think an episode is good or not, I kind of base on my own opinion. You know, like, I guess my standard for like whether or not I think a video is good, is like, if I came across this video, you know, if I was somebody else, if I came across my video and I saw this and, you know, what would I think of it? Would this be a person I'd want to subscribe to, or would I find this funny, or would I think it was a poorly made video? Like, and if my answer to that is yeah, I wouldn't, or if my answer to that is like no, I wouldn't like it, or, you know, no, I think I'd probably, you know, after the first few minutes, I'd click out of it and do, you know, watch something else and be like, yeah, I don't want to see that. You know, if that's what I feel about my own video, then yeah, then something needs to be improved. So yeah, I mean, when I get a bunch of comments of people saying this was the best fucking video ever, don't get me wrong, I like people telling me they enjoyed my stuff, and it does matter that people are entertained. I mean, like, I do this to entertain people, so obviously people saying they laughed at the video is important, and it does like make me happy to fucking see that. But I don't really take people's opinions when it comes to like determining the quality of the video itself. No, I don't really. Like, if someone tells me this was the best thing ever, I don't really take that to heart. I don't really consider that like a valid analysis of my content. No, I'm pretty much the person who passes judgment on what I make. So yes, so I guess you're right in a sense. I am my biggest critic, but I think it's probably better that way, because I do kind of have a fear of. I have a fear of pretentiousness. You know, I do think I had a tendency. You know, I removed a lot of my commentary videos from my channel, mostly because, like, younger me just lacked so much fucking self-awareness that I feel I came off as, like, super pretentious, and I was really, like, I was really proud of my stuff, but I didn't look at it critically, and I'm afraid of, like, being pretentious and not noticing my own flaws, and as a result, my videos don't get any better, and I stagnate, and I don't want to do that. Like, I want to improve. So I sort of feel I have to be critical of my own stuff, like, out of obligation. So, I'm sorry if it sounds like I hate my own stuff, though. I probably come across that sometimes. Like, if you enjoyed something I made, even if it's something I think is, like, poorly put together, that's totally cool, and I'm really happy you enjoy it. Like, I'm really fucking happy that you like my stuff, if, you know. But, you know, but yeah, whether or not I think a video is quality, that's kind of, I'm the one who holds them to that standard, not the audience. So I hope that explains that. Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I'm rambling. I ramble a lot. Hopefully I'm somewhat comprehensible. Question number 16. If you could collaborate with anybody on YouTube, who would you collaborate with? Interestingly enough, I would... Here's somebody I guess I'll answer this by talking about somebody recently that I want to collaborate with, but I probably never will. And please don't... like... I wouldn't recommend, like... I was gonna say don't go to their videos and, like, ask me to be on or something, because that would be annoying. But, there's a show I follow on YouTube, and it is relevant to, like, it is an atheist channel, and it's called The Bible Reloaded, and it's basically a couple of guys who kind of go through the Bible and sort of riff it Mystery Science Theater style, and they're both really funny people. I think they're great, and one of the things they do on their show when they're not going through the Bible is they'll read these things called chick tracts, and what chick tracts basically are these comics that was written by this Christian fundamentalist named Jack Chick, and like the organization that this guy is a part of, like this is actually like a registered hate group. So the comics are like really fucking like really racist and like homophobic and just fucking horrible, and of course on top of all that, horribly fucking written. And it's just really funny it's really good comedy fodder. So one of the things they do is they'll bring on a guest, and they and the guest will riff the chick tract together. They'll read through it, do funny voices, and crack jokes at the comic's expense. And there is a part of me that would love to be a part of that, but the problem is I don't have like a YouTube channel that I dedicate to atheism, you know? Like there's a lot of atheist channels I follow because that is something that interests me. But it's not something that like I do on YouTube. Like I like to make video game parodies. That's like my main thing, and I don't really want to change that. I still want to make video game parodies. I'd probably alienate a lot of people too if I was like switched over. Like now I'm gonna be one of the YouTube atheists. Like that would be terrible. Like I'd fucking lose so much of my audience if I did that shit. I'd alienate so many people. But yeah, there is a part of me that like I really wish I could like work with them. I know it would never happen, but I'd love to be, you know, like if I could ever at some point, like, I don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe someday I will like make another YouTube channel dedicated to that if I think I have something to offer, but I don't, so I probably won't do that. But if that did happen, it would be cool to be on a show and do a chick track reading with them. It'd be a lot of fun. They're both, like I said, I think they're both really funny people. So yeah, those are people I'd like to work with, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else I'd collaborate with that I probably that does video game stuff that would be awesome to work with? Nothing's coming to mind. Those are the only people I actually would be interested in working with at this point. Let's see. Next question, number 17. If I showed my friend oh, sorry, I read that wrong. I showed my friend your douchebag episode, and he had a question. These are his words. Is Majora going to be Link's new fairy-like companion? It might be a better partnership than the last two. First an idiot, then whatever you want to call Tatl. I'm not really big on adjectives here. And now somebody who resembles Link more than anyone. Someone who understands and gets Link. Is it possible that Link may finally have a true friend? I guess I kind of answered this when I answered the first question about... When I answered the first question about, like, what was my motivation for making the douchebag Link? Yeah, the idea is, like, yeah, that is kind of what I'm going for. Majora is going to be the new fairy-like companion for Link. At first I was thinking, like, I don't know if that would work, but... Yeah, I was like, I don't know if that would work, but it's like, because they're both, like, bloodthirsty psychopaths, but I think their personalities are different enough that they could work, because, like, Majora... Yeah, they're both bloodthirsty psychopaths, but, like, Link is sort of, Link is reserved and, he kind of holds himself back. He's very condescending and, kind of keeps a calm demeanor for the most part, whereas Majora is, like, maniacal and constantly wants to shout how great he is from the fucking rooftops, and, Majora is louder and more impulsive, so there are differences between them that I could, there's room for some conflict there. So, yeah, they're similar in one regard, but I think there's enough differences, like, I could make that work. And, like I said in the question before, I did have a lot of fun. I really did have a lot of fun, having Link talking with Majora, up on the moon, in front of the fucking, on the fucking tree with all the children and whatever. I had a lot of fun doing that, and I kind of wanted to, like, yeah, I want to do more of this. So yes, that is basically what I'm going for. Your friend, I'm glad your friend picked up on that. At least I'm glad I actually conveyed that. Even though I haven't really, I don't think I fully like set up the series, but I still have a little more exposition to do in episode 2. But hopefully I'll be able to get things going once everything's all set up, story-wise. Let's see. What's the next one? Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, I have to scroll down. Question number 18. Where is your favorite place to be in the entire world? Rockport, Massachusetts, or any place that's similarly beautiful, or any place that's as equally beautiful as Rockport, Massachusetts. Rockport is a place that, since my childhood, my parents and I have regularly gone on vacation to this place, and it's a nice little ocean. It's right next to the ocean. It's right next to the fucking ocean, you know. It's very appropriately named. You know, usually there's a lot of areas where you can walk out on the rocks and the waves kind of crash up against it. It's very beautiful. I really have a thing for, there's something really beautiful to me about like ocean, you know, living near the ocean, oceanside property, you know, having a home, you know, like you look off into the distance, there's a lighthouse and some boats and stuff like that. By the way, I love oceanside property, not beachside property. You know, like, I feel like there's a difference there. I mean, like, yes, the beach is the ocean, but, you know, on a beach, you got a bunch of, like, you know, you have a bunch of college students there, you know, or a bunch of people playing fucking volleyball and some tourists and, you know, people got their chairs set up and people are playing in the water and shit. Like, no, that's not the kind of setting I like. I like, you know, sort of, you know, standing alone by the shore, you know, just in solitude, just kind of watching the waves crash. There's something about that's just really peaceful, and so I guess Rockport's the only place I've been to that, you know, I've had a lot of great moments there. So I guess currently Rockport. Odds are I would never be able to move there because oceanside property is like crazy expensive. So I'll have to settle for Asheville, I suppose. Question number 19. Are there any people at school that recognize you as a YouTuber or know your work? No. I've never, not at my school, no. Let's see. Is it cool to meet them or kind of awkward? Now, technically Tauberpa was a fan of mine before he was a friend, so I have met people who know my stuff. I've talked to people I know over Skype. Actually, Anthony from, my buddy Anthony from Fat Dog Studios, when I went to KenTokyoCon, he, and I met him much later than I did Tauberpa, but he was a fan of my videos before he was a friend too. And technically I did meet him in person at KenTokyoCon, so I mean, I don't know, does that count? Kinda does. And I would say, I get, if that counts, then I guess, no, it wasn't too awkward. That wasn't too awkward because we had known each other for a while, and, you know, so, I mean, he showed up there with his girlfriend, and some other friends of his came up, and I hung out with them, and I met some new people and made some new friends, and it was a great time. So, no, that wasn't awkward. That wasn't very awkward. But no, if you're saying, like, have I ever met, like, somebody in public, like, somebody recognized me? No, that's never happened yet. Weirdly enough, fucking Anthony apparently has actually had somebody recognize his YouTube channel, which is weird because at this point they have, what, like 2,000 subs. At the time, I think they had less than 1,000. But, like, he apparently he was with a group of friends, and he was, like, doing, for whatever reason, he was, like, doing voices from, like, one of his episodes, and, like, somebody on at a table next to him was like, "Hey, you guys are from Fat Dog Studios?" And he's like, yeah. It's like, cool. And I'm like, that's never happened to me. I have significantly more followers, but that's never fucking happened. Then again, he could be full of shit, and he's just lying to my fucking face. But no, I mean, I've been friends with him long enough. I trust him at this point, so... And even if he is lying, I don't really care enough to challenge him on that. But no, that hasn't happened yet. But yes, I have met people who've watched my stuff in person, in that sense. Question number 20. I wasn't actually going to answer this question because it was fucking stupid. But I will but I think it gives me an opportunity to share something about myself with my audience. Question number 20: Are there demons in your pants? No, that's a dumb question. And their second question was, if not, is there a Fluttershy in your closet? That there is literally, actually, yes, there is literally a Fluttershy in my closet. And what I mean by this, I know you asked it as like a stupid, like, lols random, you know, I'm sure that was your thought process. But, yes, I actually do have a Fluttershy in my closet. I will show you what I mean by that in a second. Let me get this real quick. Really riveting stuff while you, hopefully my distant voice is let's see, hopefully my distant voice provides you with some degree of entertainment while you wait for me to walk back here. In my closet, I have certain keepsakes that I've had since I was a child. Or not as a child necessarily, but things that I've done, that I have throughout my life that, you know, either a good friend gave me or... for example, I have a birthday card that basically my best friend since kindergarten made for me. And if you... Basically, this right here is fucking... this was a character who... These were like my first Flash animations I ever made when I was like 12 years old. And you can tell, the characters look fucking terrible. It's probably a little blurry on your end, but... Like, it's dreadful, but this is like my early stuff, and, you know... my friend made this card, like, with those characters on it, and it was really cool. You can tell it's an old card, too, because it's all, like, wrinkled and stuff. And then you actually... my buddy put a little thing here. Legend of Xana. So, I have a thing of keepsakes, and amongst my many keepsakes, I got this little alien I made, which is actually another character from one of my early Flash cartoons I made when I was a kid. Yeah, he actually fits on your... He's actually a little puppet. But yeah, amongst these is, indeed, a Fluttershy plushie. And I keep this in my closet because this adorable fucking Fluttershy plushie was made for me by one of my close friends that I met in Baltimore. And I think it's just fucking adorable. I keep it around just because... Well, first of all, it's cute as fuck. Look at that. I love the fucking adorable little button eyes, you know? And secondly, again, a close friend made it for me, and it's just really fucking... It's really fucking adorable. So yes, I do have a Fluttershy in my closet. I like to, you know... I'm not a person who likes to... I'm not much of a hoarder, you know? I'm not a person who likes to keep a lot of old junk lying around, but there are a few, like, keepsakes I have from my past that I like to keep with me, just to... Because they were given to me by a good friend, or because, you know, they have some kind of significance to me. You know, or something I made when I was a kid or whatever. Oh, so while I'm showing you stuff that I made while I was a kid, check this motherfucker out. This is, apparently, I also have a ragdoll that I made when I was, like, fucking, like, what was it, 10 or something, and his name is Eric. He wears a top hat and a poncho with his name written on it. And I've had this motherfucker just lying around for years. I actually fucking made this guy as a, I actually made this, the reason he's got the top, this was actually, I dressed this guy up to be Abraham Lincoln. I did it for, like, a school project in, like, whatever grade I was in when I was, like, 10. I had to do a fucking oral presentation about Abraham Lincoln, and you could use a visual aid, and I decided to make a puppet of Abe Lincoln. And hilariously, I actually made fun of his assassination. Which is probably, like, for the adults in the room, like, oh my god, he's not really fucking doing it. It was like, I actually had him up on... I actually had his, like, oh man, like, you know, me trying to be like a comedian, like, look at me, I'm Abe Lincoln, oh my god, I'm dead, like that kind of shit. And I'm a kid, I don't know any better, and I'm just trying to be funny. The kids found it hilarious. I think the teachers were probably like, just like, dude, oh my god, Christian, please don't, oh, dude, no. Honestly, I think that's funny. Not Lincoln dying, that's tragic, but I think me as a child, lacking emotional sensitivity, as many would at a young age, you know, in the context of me doing a presentation for class as a young child, I think it's funny that I that I probably made a lot of adults uncomfortable. But yeah, there's the answer to your Fluttershy question, I suppose. I have keepsakes that are very important to me. Question number 21. What are your thoughts on the whole GamerGate situation? I'm not totally involved in the whole Gamergate thing myself. I don't really consider myself a part of it or against it or anything, but I do know generally, like, what's going on. If I have any thoughts on it, I find it annoying that the people who are against Gamergate are intentionally misrepresenting the legitimate criticisms that the people in the Gamergate, I guess I'm gonna say movement for lack of a better word. I feel like the word movement is too strong, but I'm a little bit upset that, I feel I should, before I go any further, I do want to clarify, I don't really have a problem with feminism as an ideology. I have no problem discussing gender politics with a feminist or have this immediate, like, because I say that because I know on YouTube there is sort of this kind of, there is sort of this anti-feminist kind of circle jerk going on. I don't know where that started. There's a lot of it amongst the atheist community too, which is really interesting. I don't know exactly why that is. I think it has something to do with a website called Free Thought Blogs and people on there, and something to do with something called Atheism Plus. I don't know enough about that to go into the details, but yeah, there is this very loud and obnoxious anti-feminist kind of group, and I don't really consider myself a part of that. I wouldn't consider myself a feminist. I'm more of I would call myself a gender egalitarian because I feel like that's a little more specific, and I don't really know enough about feminism to say I identify with it. Mostly, I'm not going to just identify as feminist by default because I don't necessarily know I agree with all the premises and concepts that feminists talk about, and I think that would be silly of me to do. I know there's a lot of people who are like, you should just say you're a feminist if you believe in gender equality. It's like, no, that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not just going to declare myself to be something if I don't know exactly what that implies, But yeah, so I'm not really on board the anti-feminist, hate train or whatever that I see on the internet a lot, but I do fucking hate Anita Sarkeesian. And I was really fucking frustrated when I saw Anita Sarkeesian undermining when she was basically on Colbert and she said, it's like, what is Gamergate about? And she's like, Gamergate is about anti-feminism and it's about, women not being properly represented in the media. It's like, no. Gamergate is about journalistic integrity. I'm not going to pretend like there aren't people on, who are part of Gamergate who aren't, a bunch of misogynistic pieces of shit. Look, the people saying like, fuck, I hope you get raped, bitch, and stuff like that. Of course, I think we can all agree those people are scum. But that doesn't mean but those people don't represent the entire fucking thing. And I think there are people with legitimate criticisms. Zoe Quinn was in a relationship. When a game developer is literally in bed with a person who's writing articles about their content, that's very fucking important. That's an actual fucking issue. That's an issue of journalistic integrity, and I feel like the people who have problems with that, their concerns are totally justified. I think that's a totally justifiable thing to be upset about. And I guess I understand to an extent, like, yeah, like, it's their personal business whether they're in a relationship or not, but I guess I'll put it this way. Let's just say hypothetically I'm a journalist and I'm a popular game reviewer on a well-known gaming site like Kotaku or IGN or something. And and my best friend decides like, oh, my best friend makes a video game, and then somebody comes up to me and asks me if I want to review it. I'm going to say no because I'm aware that my relationship with that person is going to influence my opinion, because I understand, that doesn't mean I would immediately rate the game like 10 out of 10 or something, but, you don't want to hurt the feelings of someone you care about, right? So you're going to, like, you might soften your criticism, you might just avoid the negative criticism altogether and focus on, like, the positive elements of the game, and overemphasize those and not really give people a fair critique of the content, a fair critique of what it is you're reviewing. So yeah, if I were in that situation or in a similar situation, I feel like I would not review the content, but that's what was going on. When you have journalists literally in bed with the people whose content they're reviewing, that's a problem. So yes, I think the people who are complaining about that do have a legitimate criticism. And I don't like it that the opposition to Gamergate is portraying the entirety of the Gamergate movement as it's all about anti-feminism and misogyny. No, it's not all about that. It's about journalistic integrity. So I guess that's all I have to say on the subject. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super involved in that, but I don't like seeing people's positions misrepresented like that. That kind of annoys me. Let's see, next question. What do you think of people who are blunt? Generally, I admire people who say what they mean unapologetically and honestly. You know, I don't like a person who's like wants to say something. I don't like a person who's passive aggressive about something. Like, you know, they're hostile towards a certain perspective, but they're not honest about that. They're kind of tap dancing around what they really want to say. You know, it's, you know, like people who can just unapologetically say, this is my perspective, no bullshit. I respect that. To a point, you know, if the person is like a callous, now if the person's like a callous piece of shit, and they're saying like horrible things with no concern for what anyone else, like, dude, that's really fucked up to say to this person. It's like, I don't care, I'm speaking my mind. Like, I mean, you know, to a point. If you're being a callous piece of shit, then yeah. But no, generally I do admire bluntness. I do respect people who are very forward and just straightforward, no bullshit about their opinions. 23. Question 23. What was your senior year of high school like? Really weird year for me. Both incredibly boring and really uncomfortable. And really horrible and uncomfortable socially. I don't know what was going on that year. Now, I've always kind of struggled, not struggled, that's too strong of a word, but I've always kind of dealt with social anxiety. For a long, you know, even to this day, I still have social anxiety. Now, I've gotten a lot better at dealing with it, and it's not as hard for me to be in social situations as it used to be. But when I was in my senior year of high school, for whatever reason, I guess it was part of the stress of like, oh man, I'm moving from one chapter of my life into the next. You know, I'm moving from high school to college. There's a big transition, so maybe there were just a lot of things going on at once that really heightened my anxiety levels, but. Yeah, that was when my social anxiety was at its absolute worst. And to give you an example of, like, my anxiety was so bad that even the thought of just spending time with my lifelong friends, like, you know, the card I showed you that my best friend since kindergarten gave me, the thought of even interacting with him actually made me nauseous. That's how bad my social anxiety was. Like, I could barely even hang out with people who I had been friends with for years. Just talking to my parents and talking to my friends actually became really difficult, and I don't know what that was. I haven't felt that in a long time. I think it was just, I guess it was that at that point in my life, I was just going through a bunch of, I guess there was a lot going on, and it just, all that anxiety built up, and it manifested itself in, you know, and just, I guess kind of, it manifested itself in, I guess, my social anxiety by just making the social anxiety that I already had much worse. But yeah. So a very uncomfortable year for me socially. I didn't care for it much. And when it came to class, I was just bored out of my fucking mind because none of the classes were challenging me, and I knew I was already guaranteed to go to college at that point, so I didn't really give a shit. I still made A's on everything, but I'd already taken all my required courses to graduate, so at this point I was just like, I pretty much just took a bunch of, like, elective classes, easy A elective classes, and just kind of dicked around. So senior year, not one of my happier years. And this brings us to the final question. Jesus fucking, I'm so sorry for burping like a fucking disgusting sack of shit throughout this whole thing. Final question. Question 24. Dear Xana, are you pro-gay, anti-gay, or just really don't have an opinion on it? If so, can you explain? It's been a debate between me and some friends, and you seem like a pretty intelligent guy, and I'd like to hear your opinion on the subject. Take care. I'm glad you think I'm intelligent. I'm glad you think I'm intelligent. It's nice to see other people, like, say that. I like to think I'm intelligent. I wish I was more intelligent, though. I really wish so I wish I had I wish I was less scatterbrained. I wish I had a better vocabulary, and I was a lot more, I was ever better able to explain my thoughts I've gotten better at being able to verbalize what I'm thinking in my head, but I still go on tangents and trail off and stumble over my words. I wish I was a lot. I wish I was smarter, but I'm glad you at least think I'm reasonably intelligent enough to talk on the subject. So thank you for the compliment. I've already said this. I mean, I already mentioned this in a previous video, but I guess I have a little more to add to this. I mean, I don't really understand why a person... Actually, I do kind of think I understand, but I have never heard a single good argument explaining why homosexuality is wrong. You know? I have never heard a single good argument. I've never heard a secular argument either. It's always a religious argument, which to me always seems like the last resort of a person who has no rationale for their thought process. You know, I guess with religion you can believe in anything regardless of the reasons, and just claim that's my faith, respect it. I guess people like to hide behind faith because if it's faith that's fueling your worldview, then you immediately have to respect it for some reason. You know, you don't need to it's like they hide behind faith as an excuse to justify their bigotry, and that's always really annoying to me. But I don't know, to me I see that as part of like a bigger problem. I guess I don't know, there's a certain kind of person in this world that really fucking pisses me off. And it's people who don't understand that their own emotions aren't always justified. And I feel like pretty much anyone who's anti-gay has trouble grasping this, and it really pisses me off that these people exist. And what I guess let me sort of explain. I guess what I mean by that is, you know, I understand to an extent why somebody would have like an initial reaction, like, you know, to a gay person, you know, like, because it's it's fear of the unknown. When you see something you're not familiar with, you tend to be afraid of it. I get that. I get the initial reaction, and I don't hold anybody, you know, and I understand why people feel that. I'm not going to hold anybody, like, anyone's fucking, you know, feet to the, you know, it's like, you're a piece of shit because you were weirded out by homosexuality, or you found it gross or something. No, I'm not going to hold that against a person. It's the people who take that initial gut reaction, immediately think it's justified, and then try to defend it to the fucking death. The thing is, you know, human emotion isn't always irrational, and apparently some fucking idiots in the world don't understand this. Human emotion isn't always rational. Sometimes we feel things, and there isn't always a reason to feel that. And to an extent, in a sense, I get fear of the unknown, because it's kind of a survival mechanism, right? You know, it's the kind of impulse that kept our ancestors from walking up to a fucking, you know, sleeping tiger and kicking it in the fucking face just to see what happens. You know, when we see something and we're not quite sure what to make of it, we sort of feel fear because we're not really, you know, we do, it's a fear response. We don't want to take any unnecessary risks. We don't want to deal with things we don't really understand. But see, that's the thing. I have those reactions too. I have that initial reaction to things I don't understand. But see, that's where my fucking brain kicks in. I have that initial reaction, and then I think through why I'm experiencing that fear. I think, is that fear justified? Yes or no? Does this thing that I'm afraid of present any kind of actual threat? Is there any actual danger to be had? Is there anything about this that's a threat to my safety or anybody else's safety? And if the answer is no, then the fear goes away. The problem is, these people don't seem to fucking understand that not all their fucking emotions have a rationale, that their emotions are irrational. And I don't know what the fuck... That's why I always get so annoyed when I hear people make, like, the moral religious arguments, like God instilled those morals in us. That's why you feel disgust at certain things. That's why you feel anger towards certain things. That's why they're taking their gut reactions and assuming that they're justified, as if it's like ordained by some higher... No, you just had an emotional reaction. That doesn't always mean there's a rationale for it. It just annoys me that there's people in the world that look at their emotions that way, that have that emotional reaction, that have an emotional reaction, assume their reaction is automatically justified, and then act on it, and don't actually think through why they feel the way they do. And I guess that to me is the story of every fucking person who has a problem with gays. It's just a thing they don't understand, they don't like it, they don't know why they don't like it, but they just don't. and they'll do anything to defend their stupid bigoted position, and it annoys me. So. I'm sorry you're in a position where you actually have been having a debate with people. I'm sorry you live in a place where there are people who are debating this with you. I guess it's weird for me because homosexuality is one of those things that's, to me, I'm so past that in my life that it surprises me when I see people who are like, it's like, you know, ew, gay people, like this still see that mentality's around really fucking upsets me. And it upsets me too because I understand that the type of environment that would create for like somebody who's growing up and they realize they're gay and then they have to fucking deal with assholes like that, again, who just act on their immediate impulse to something, assume it's justified, and, you know, fuck. And it's fucking mentalities like that drive some of these people to suicide. So it sickens me that these people exist in the world. And it just upsets me. And I guess for me, you know, like I suppose like compared to most people, it's just weird to me that people are still trying to get used to homosexuals being okay with homosexuality, because I guess for me, you know, I think I'm accepting of a lot more than the average person is too. Like for me, I understand there's also people out there who are into all kinds of strange things. And I don't even really, and they find those individuals disgusting and horrible, and I don't even really feel that. You know, there's people out there who are into all manner of things. You know, some people like to dress up in fucking gimp outfits and get their ass smacked with a paddle. Some people like to dress up as like babies. Some people like to dress up in like a fursuit and find another person who dresses up in a fursuit, and then like none of that bothers me, and I'm not gonna pretend like it never did. But again, I did look at those things initially, and I had that reaction of like, what the fuck is this? I don't get it, and it's weird. But then when I thought through it, and I realized these people nothing bad is happening to the world because these people are doing this. Engaging in this activity makes them happy, and as long as it's consensual, and as long as it's harmless, why the fuck would I have a problem with it? And why the fuck would I be scared? I mean, if anything, I'm far more fascinated by people with those types of interests. I'm more fascinated by those types of people than I am, you know, disgusted. And I don't think that's even appropriate wording, because disgusted implies that I'm even disgusted on some level, which I'm not. And I just think it's shitty that people are treated like crap or are told like, you're horrible, you're a freak, you're a piece of shit, simply for engaging in something that they enjoy. And just because people don't understand that their immediate visceral reaction to something does not hold any fucking water. The fact that you feel uncomfortable about something doesn't mean that it means that what that person is doing that makes you uncomfortable is bad. But people tend to associate, if it makes me uncomfortable, it's immediately morally wrong. And that's just fucking annoying. You know? So, that's my thoughts on it. I'm open to a lot of things. I mean, obviously I draw the line somewhere. I mean, I draw the line, you know, when the line is drawn where consent ends, basically. I mean, if you're basically carrying out rape, you know, or if you're having sex with them, if you're gonna like molest a minor or have sex with an animal that can't consent. I mean, yeah. So my tolerance ends where consent does. So obviously I'm not okay with anything, but the people who are doing all, you know, people who are into all these weird, obscure things, there's such a tremendous range of human sexuality that, again, it fascinates me more than anything else. I just think it's interesting. People are interesting. And I guess it's interesting to like look into the mind of a person who's into something that deviates so drastically from the norm. I find I just wonder why other people aren't fascinated by that, but rather, I guess I understand why people are more disgusted than anything else, but I wish they had more than fucking 2 brain cells to rub together. I wish they used their fucking minds rather than just have emotions and react to those emotions. But anyways, I suppose that's my opinion on the subject of homosexuality, as well as just human sexuality in general. I think people should be free to explore their sexuality, free of bullshit from anybody else. But anyways, I guess that's it. That's the end of this Q&A. Anyways, thank you guys. Thanks for listening. I guess I had fun doing this. It definitely did break up the monotony a little bit. As did hanging out with my family and drinking heavily. So, anyways, it's been cool. Sorry if I was a little too rambly. Like I said, I had a few drinks before I started, so it had been a few hours ago, but like I said, I might still be a little bit groggy. Hopefully you enjoyed the Q&A. Maybe I'll do another one in the future if I feel bored again. But yeah, that's it. Take care.